welcome to Unedited, episode 27.
27.
I'm Jordan, joined by...
It's 27.
Joined by 27 over here. How are you
27.
doing? How's 27 doing?
Yeah, it's so 27 right now, man.
It really is, eh?
Do you feel 27?
I do feel 27, yeah.
I don't know
Sometimes.
about you, but I'm feeling 27.
Are you? How old are you?
I'm 22.
Okay.
No, I'm 31.
Are you? I was just wondering. I'm like
How old are you?
42.
Yeah, I thought we're about a decade apart.
About a decade, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
You just constantly look at me and you think, oh, that decade. Eh?
No, I just remember from years back making that connection, but
Absolutely.
27 is cool. It's awesome. We were talking last week, me and Ashley, about how 2 weeks ago
Yeah,
was 25,
That's
quarter
right.
of 100.
that's right.
Now
gonna
we're
get there.
over a quarter of 100.
We're making our way to that.
Downtown.
So, yeah, absolutely. Well, why don't we jump into it? We'll talk about a few things today. We're coming up on Christmas. It's coming up fast. Actually, a little too
Christmas.
fast, eh?
It
So,
is,
It really
definitely.
is though. Like
Yeah.
I was thinking about this past week, and even just with like buying gifts and stuff. Like I still have to buy stuff. You? Are you done?
No way.
You're
No
finished?
way.
You've taken care of that already.
I think Alyssa did. So
Okay.
she's got
So-
gifts for family and stuff. But, actually this year feels better paced for me than usual.
Okay.
Like December has felt like it's clipping along at a better, well, I already said it, a better pace than usual.
That's good.
Like I feel like there's less happening for me right now. But I also think it's because I'm leaving for holidays on the 20th.
Mm-hmm.
That's Friday.
Yes.
So
It's an exciting time.
it feels different.
Yeah,
it
it would.
to peace out early and to go off on holidays. So
Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoy that. I hope it goes well. You want to parlay a little bit as we start?
please.
All right, let's parlay. Parlay. All right, so we're going to talk about something that's, a little bit of that. Me and you like to talk Christmas stuff. I don't think any of this has been difficult for us to kind of unpack a little bit.
Best month ever.
But we're going to talk about what's the greatest Christmas tradition.
Yep.
You ready for it?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I think I'm ready.
Are you ready to say the wrong thing and I'll correct you?
Probably, and likely I'll probably end up agreeing with you to an extent, because
Really?
unless you get way off base and you start talking about like, I don't know, various hot chocolates you like to
Parking.
drink at this time of year or something like that. So-
Really? Oh, you don't think that would be? I was just thinking maybe like parking at the mall.
There you go.
Do you ever try to go to the mall?
I did yesterday, 2 days ago.
Oh,
So it was unbelievable. Actually,
just don't even go.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Finding a spot was actually crazy. Actually, I was in Indigo right before it,
Hmm.
and the lineup was about 15, 20 deep. This is at like 1 o'clock on Monday.
Wow,
So yeah, it was really, really deep. So
that's crazy.
yeah, it was nuts. So I
Yeah.
couldn't believe it. So people still are out and about shopping, and it's that time of year.
Yeah.
But favorite Christmas tradition, the greatest Christmas tradition, favorite one, or one that you just consider maybe pivotal for the Christmas season. Can we go with that?
Yeah. Are
Okay.
you going first?
I'll go first.
Hit me with it.
I think for me, the one that always kind of starts off this season and gets the season rolling is probably putting up the tree. And so it's been something I've done our whole lives. As kids, we had the tree up. We used to do it on Grey Cup weekend growing up in Thompson.
What weekend is
And
that?
it'd be the third weekend in November.
Okay.
And so we'd always do it during the game. I'm not sure my dad loved that in hindsight, because he's a big sports fan, right?
He's trying to
And
watch.
having us messing with the tree during the football game probably wasn't his favorite thing. But yeah, we always did it. And now we do it kind of a little bit earlier in our home. And but it's always been something that signified the season. Once that tree goes up, we're kind of in full mode,
You're
right?
in it.
Maybe we put it up a little early, that we spend a week like close the blinds kind of thing, right? But then a week later, everyone's got their tree up and we're kind of ready to go, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So Christmas tree's a big one for me. I like putting it up. I like redesigning it. We usually buy a new one every 4 or 5 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
4 or 5, eh? Is that because they die on you? Or is
Yeah,
that...
or they get warped. They start to like slant too much one way.
Oh,
and just-
interesting.
yeah, but we never throw one out. Actually, I guess in a way, we kind of recycle them and use them for something different. Like one of them we just threw in the yard.
Okay.
And the other one's now in the basement. The one that we used previously.
Yep.
And I'm sure we'll continue some sort of combination of that. There's always a use for it, right?
Yeah.
So
That's interesting. We got a new tree, I think, 2 years ago, just because of the other one. So we had gotten kittens
yes.
like 3 years ago. Or
Okay.
4 years ago. But anyway, and they did some damage when they were younger to that first tree. So like I had to cut my cat out of it one time.
Oh,
because
beautiful.
She was a little kitten, just a little, little ball of fur, and she climbed up into the tree
Mhm.
and she got stuck in the lights
Oh, man.
And it like wrapped around her abdomen, and she was just like hanging there, which
Yeah.
was very scary as well.
Oh, no
because I was
kidding.
Like, dang, you're gonna kill yourself in here somehow.
Yeah.
So I had to like go in, and I like was seeing if I could get her out, and she's like, meow, 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 you know. And I had to like snip the Christmas light to get her out safely and quickly without her frantically, twisting her body in half or something.
You
know?
got her out though. There's a good
Got
ending.
her out.
Good
There's
ending?
a good ending. She's big and fat and happy now. So,
Yeah.
well, she's not really fat, but anyway, the reason I say that is we had to replace that tree because the cat's just over the years. So there's like a strip of dead lights, and it just keeps happening, So we got like a skinny tree.
Okay.
Have you ever had like a pencil tree before?
Sort of. We have one in the dining room that we call our winter tree, and it's skinnier, and it just has white lights, and we put nothing on it, and it just kind of sits there till about like February.
It's just a winter tree.
Just we have something there with light on. Yeah.
I like that. I like that you guys do a winter tree. Like you've talked about that before, and I think that's like a cool.
Just perks me up a bit, like in January, February,
Yeah.
to have some light in that room. You know what I mean? Like, and not take everything down.
Yeah.
And I hang a little garland on top of my cupboards.
Oh.
And put lights in that garland. I leave that up too till about February.
We leave our garland up till probably February too.
Yeah,
for sure.
Just feels
well,
nice.
we leave our Christmas tree up quite a bit as well, just because like
I'll blame you.
It's winter.
Mm-hmm.
It's Christmas is like the event that anchors it all, but all of this is about winter.
Agreed.
Like green trees and lights, and it's dark at night, so cheer up your house.
Well, and up here in Canada, like we get like the winter's like not even like close to half done usually by Christmas, right?
Exactly.
Like, it's got like two, 3, maybe 4 months left depending on what the year looks like.
We need like another significant holiday halfway through winter. So there's like
I
Valentine's
agree with
Day
you
if you're in
100%.
a relationship or something, but that doesn't make like a couple weeks out of it. That's like a day or two.
Yeah.
Like if you're really, really into it, you might get a few days out of Valentine's Day.
Yeah, but we need something significant there. I agree.
Yeah.
Like I almost feel like I wish New Year's wasn't on January 1st and maybe it was February 1st.
Yeah, that,
I've thought of this before, and then
absolutely.
thought that'd give us something to look forward to. We could
Yes.
plan events around, right?
Yeah.
And
Although I do like that you can hit
both at
New
once.
Year's and Christmas in a week of holidays
That's
if
true
you
too.
wanted to, right?
That is true.
Like,
that is true.
but I get what you mean. I would really enjoy that too, actually.
Yeah, I think the tree is something that's a pivotal tradition for us though, because we've always done it. What about you? Where are you at here?
Tree, I really like that. That's good. So I always try to set up our parlays by being like, I'm going to disagree with you. And I always end up disagreeing with you.
Well, because I have a funny feeling whatever you say, there's likely some likelihood I'm going to have something to contribute to, right?
Yeah, okay.
in a positive manner. But
well, the truth is that I have always really loved presents.
okay.
And growing up, I kind of like came more to terms with, consumerism and what do you value more, family and time together or whatever. But like having like a Christmas Eve feast and then tearing into some presents has always been huge for me. And that's like, so that for a large portion of my life has always been the highlight. But, in the last maybe like, I don't know how many years, but in the last while, several years now, my actual favorite part of Christmas tradition is the New Year's Eve service.
Okay.
I just love, like, it's
Christmas
always
Eve.
been part of my life. Is that?
You said New Year's.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
All good though.
Oh, please forgive me. Por
No,
favor.
I got you.
Okay, so Christmas Eve
Yeah.
service.
'Kay.
Yeah, so all through my life, we grew up going to these. And my
Yeah.
dad was a pastor, and we always participated, and we were part of it and whatever. And I know it's ironic that a pastor and a pastor's kid is like, my favorite part about Christmas is church,
Yeah.
but it's true because
Yeah.
it's a moment where you don't get a lot of, unless you make space for them, you don't get solemn moments to commemorate and center yourself on things. And so I try to make those at home, but there's something about being with your community and stopping and having a solemn moment. Well, I don't even want to say solemn, but like a heartfelt, I should say, not solemn. A heartfelt moment where you commemorate what's happening.
Agreed.
You stop, there's Christmas music, there's talking to people, sharing with people. And also a big thing for me is that after Christmas Eve, we would always go home for dinner and presents. And so it's like that feeling of being like, this is I just get to be here and participate in this, and then I'm going to go have like the best party of the year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So, yeah.
And I can't, like, this is one of those parlays. Christmas is tough to parlay on because it's not like we're going to vehemently offend each other with anything we pick, right?
Yeah.
But I completely get where you're coming from with that too, because that's always been pivotal for me as well, is the Christmas Eve service, whether it's been since I've, been pastoring or been in the the more Protestant church, right? But even growing up as in the Catholic church, like, Mass was just, it was non-negotiable for us as a family, right? When I was a kid, my mom would sometimes take us to midnight Mass, and we always felt like that was awesome, eh?
Wow.
But just staying up for it was exciting, but then getting home at 1 was terrible, probably, right?
Yeah.
But we'd stay up right till midnight and do Mass, then get home, go to bed, get up in the morning and do presents, kind of.
Yeah.
So, but it's always been a part of the Christmas tradition for me, and it's something, like you said, I really appreciate even more as I get older, and just the meaning behind it and just coming together. It's a special time. I agree.
It is. Yeah. So you don't disagree with me?
I don't disagree with you. I think
Wow.
both of us could probably find redeeming factors in all this. So since we're in Christmas and we're on stories and memories, why don't we share a couple thoughts about the season? What are some favorite memories you have? You got any things that come to your mind when you think of favorite Christmas memories?
Can I tell you?
Yeah,
I'm
please.
going to tell you right now.
Do it right now.
So there's like different categories for me,
Okay. Yeah.
Like, because I was thinking about this.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that are specifically Christmas, and then there's other things that are like winter, but it all kind of connects to Christmas. Because, again, like, Christmas is like the hallmark of it, or the flagship of winter, but then the rest of winter is kind of like, do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're on the same page
Yeah,
with me, right?
with you.
I'm just hoping that the listeners and viewers get what I'm saying, so they're not just like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
But so Christmas specific, we used to do, so my dad is a hunter, and we would always go out hunting with him throughout the year and stuff as kids. And so, like, that was just an adventure in and of itself, was like going out. And it's a small game that we mostly participate in. He would take my older brother, like, deer hunting or something, but like,
Okay.
I was too young at the time to, like, I would just like scare away all the deer, just be chatting or whatever. But just to clarify, you asked me about my favorite memories, right?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So that, like, starting in the fall
Yeah.
with the partridge season or grouse season, and you go out and you'd be hunting with Dad, and sometimes the siblings would be there and the dog would always be there. And it was like a very special thing to be able to go out into the bush with my dad. This is in Ontario and stuff, right? And then those partridge that we would get, we would clean them, and a bunch of them would go into the freezer until Christmas. And then Christmas Eve, my dad would take out the partridge breasts, and he would cut them up, and he would fry them.
Nice.
And it was like having, like, kind of like chicken strips, but it's like partridge breasts, and they're small, right? So it's like you cut one in half, and that's like 2 strips kind of thing. But that was just like such an awesome time for our family,
Yeah, of
so
course.
it's like, because it was a whole season leading up to it, right? Like, it starts in the fall time, and then we like kind of get the fruit of the labor
And
Christmas time.
You feast kind of Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds good. I like it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's very good.
What
Very
about
cool.
you? Have you got a memory or?
Yeah, a couple things. I remember when we were kids, my grandma used to always throw a party in a house that shouldn't hold as many people are in my dad's family. So my dad comes from a family of 15 kids.
Okay.
So like that's a lot of kids, and now you add like their kids. They're all adults now. They all have kids, right?
Right.
And we're all at grandma's house, kind of packed into this house. And so, but to me, it was always something I looked forward to. It was exciting. It was like, it just felt like this is what we do, right?
Yeah.
Now, and honestly, it was highlighted so much after grandma had passed, right? That how much we needed that, and then it was no more. And like what it did after that was it highlighted like, whoa, like we got to keep these things going a little better, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I remember one of them in particular, Santa showed up, and he was there to talk with the kids and stuff like that. But Santa had been enjoying the evening a little too much, let's just say. And Santa was obnoxious and was
classic Santa.
Was throwing one-liners out there he probably shouldn't have been throwing out.
Really?
And the parents had a hoot with it at the time, right? But But he definitely went on his way that night, and it was the most interesting Santa I remember ever coming across as a kid.
Oh, wow.
And I'd never
so
quite
good.
seen a Santa quite like that before. But that's a
Did
memory.
his beard fall down halfway
Well,
through the night? And he
kinda.
kind of
It
just
was
left
sort of
it?
exactly what you
It's
expect,
just around
right?
his neck.
Yeah, he was slurring a little bit probably, and he was just kind of like they just hired this guy, right? And like we thought we were getting a Santa who was coming there to like, just hear what the kids want for Christmas and send us on our way, right?
Yeah.
And
The padding falls out halfway through. He's just like a skinny guy in a big suit.
Yeah,
He's got his beard around his neck.
Yeah, he's as bad as that Santa on Home Alone, like when Kevin walks up there and he has to huck his smoke away. Don't spoil your dinner, right?
Yeah.
But no, that was I remember that left an impression. You don't forget stuff like that happens,
For
right?
sure. That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Were you a gift peeker? Did you peek at gifts?
You know what? I was not.
Okay.
I definitely. Okay, so classic situation.
Yeah.
My mother kept the presents in their closet.
Okay.
So parents' bedroom was off bounds unless we had permission generally anyways.
So you just didn't go in and look. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
but especially closets and especially like just all year round because it could
Yeah.
be somebody's birthday present.
Yeah.
And it was in a house of 3 siblings. Nobody can see anything because if you know, you're going to ruin it for somebody else or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it's like all year round, just never open the closet in mom and dad's bedroom. So
Yeah.
there was just like sometimes where there would be general behavior was always good with us, but there would be times where it'd be like, well, mom and dad are away and I'm just really curious and on an impulse, I'm going to go check the closet, something like that, but I didn't like open presents under the tree and reclose them or anything.
Okay.
What about you?
We were probably peekers. Yeah, I'm gonna blame. It's probably my brother who started it in a way. But I remember once my mom had a sewing room downstairs in the basement.
Yeah.
And she had a whole bunch of clothes on the one side of the sewing room, and back in the behind those clothes, like she had lots of stuff stacked in there.
Yeah.
She put the presents always at the back. So like, a couple times I found out, we're getting a Super Nintendo or,
Oh, wow.
or we're
For
getting
real?
this, right? Like, yeah, we
Wow.
definitely looked at it a little bit at time to time, but I don't know what age we started doing that at. I think we would have been older. So I did have genuine surprises as kids. It kind of makes me wonder now with my daughters when they're going to maybe be tempted to do these kind of things and how I could prevent that from sort of happening and occurring, right?
Yeah.
Because we do things a little different with the house, than my parents did, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, we looked a little bit as kids, Sometimes I knew what I was getting. Other times I had no clue, and sometimes they found ways to genuinely just shock me. Like my mom would leave everything at her office eventually.
Oh, wow.
And because there was just enough room there. And
Wow,
yeah.
you were like a serial peeker.
Yeah, a little. Well,
If she had to leave stuff
not
at
a
work-
serial peeker, but like.
Okay.
But I think she recognized what was happening as we got older a little bit, right?
Jordan, if your mom had to resort to leaving presents at work, you were a serial peeker.
I know friends whose parents left everything in the car trunk because they just
What?
didn't want to take it out. Yeah, but it would
gonna
freeze though. That's what I always thought. Yeah,
And then also, everybody goes in the car all the time.
typically, but in the trunk maybe.
The car is
not.
how you get places as a family.
Yeah, I guess in the 80s though, like most trunks you had to open manually, like with a key. There
I guess that's a
there
good
was no
point.
flip.
So you need to get the keys.
Yeah.
But who couldn't
So-
just go grab the keys out of the basket by the door and go check?
Not sure we ever thought of doing that. I
Jordan,
guess.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying, this whole trunk thing doesn't seem to be very watertight.
It was a real thing. It was a real thing. I've heard of parents doing that. So
Can I tell you another favorite memory of mine?
please do.
Can I?
Yeah.
Okay, here it comes.
Okay.
I just closed my notes.
Yeah.
Okay, there they are. Well, so do you remember spending a lot of time outdoors when you were younger in the middle of winter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the
And
time.
It's dark and
Yeah.
everything's moonlit.
Mhm.
And you grew up in Thompson, so you would have similar like terrain as me growing up in like northwestern Ontario,
Yeah.
where I just have these great vivid memories of that cool crisp winter air.
Yes.
Like when you breathe in through both nostrils and it just fills your body,
Mhm.
And it's so fresh, so clean, and you hear the rustling of the trees as the wind sweeps through them gently, and the moon is up in the sky, the stars are up, maybe some clouds in front of the moon, you know, and
typically Northern
you're
Lights, you see them all the
walking-
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're walking through the snow and it's got that crispy surface to it,
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of which, quick sidebar, you know the Grinch movie that your kids love, the animated one?
Yeah.
I just watched that last night with Alyssa.
Did you love it?
For the second time in our lives. And it's amazing.
It is good.
It's so good.
I like it.
It's like it's deep, it's funny, it's lighthearted, it's everything. It's very, very well done. Also, in the movie, the Grinch is trying to sneak through snow.
Yes.
And it's just like the loudest snow ever.
Absolutely.
And I was laughing out loud at that because I was like, that's so relatable. Because we used to play games, and this is coming back to my story now, my memory, where we'd be hiding in the bush. Maybe it was like flashlight tag at night or something.
Yeah.
And everybody would be geared up in snow gear, and people are running and hiding behind rocks and hiding in trees and digging themselves into snow. And you'd be either hiding from somebody or chasing somebody in the middle of the night. Well, maybe it was like 9 o'clock, but it's like dark, right? It's wintertime in Canada. And like the crunchiness of the snow, it's like just so obnoxious where you're like trying to sneak away or up on somebody.
You can't sneak
and it's
all.
Like,
yeah.
So like we used to try and learn tactics to like, in Dune, how like the people will, well, sometimes, yeah. You know how in Dune, the I forget the name of the people in Dune that live in the desert. That's embarrassing for me. But they do that sand walking where they like take irregular footsteps.
Oh, yeah.
That's like us in winter in
Just
northwestern Ontario.
Just go slow.
Yeah, you had to do it rhythmically. And sometimes if somebody started making noise, you'd take a chance to like move while there was still noise. Yeah. So, nighttime in the bush, looking up at the sky and like just the quietness of like an untouched meadow in the middle of the bush on the, like out in the country. And just like, I just love, I love that so
No, it's
much.
Perfect. That's perfect. I like it. Good story. I know exactly what you're talking about being outside at that time of year too. There's nothing like it. You just it's just one of those things that it's even tough to describe, but it sits so well in your memory, right?
It's better than being out on a sunny day in the summer.
I would agree.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, there's something different to it. Light tours even. We used to in Thompson. We used to sometimes drive around looking at Christmas lights. Did you ever do that?
Yeah.
Like now we have like these really nice displays that you often pay to go into, which are great too. But there's nothing like just like going around town and like finding lights and stuff and like
just the neighborhood,
seeing what's happening, right?
Yep.
So
Alyssa mentioned that to me the other day. She said we got to go light cruising soon in Martinsville and just look who's got good setups.
And there's probably lots of stuff there.
Yeah.
So I saw like a lot of like the smaller cities now, like they have like best decorated contests, right?
Yeah.
And the weirdest part is you don't even have to enter your house; they enter you, right? So
yeah. They're just like, that's
someone
nice.
in that city drives around and gives 15 nominees, right? And then tells you to check them out. And so one year when we moved into our place, the first year we noticed that there were tons of people who would drive by and stop in front of our house and just sit there for a second or two and then keep going. And I was like, this is weird. Like, are we like the resting spot kind of thing?
Yeah.
But then I realized that the previous owners used to win that thing every year.
Oh.
And we're like decked out for Christmas. So we must have been such a disappointment when we showed up with like our string of lights around the roof, right? And maybe lights on the railing, right? And then Nicole tried to step it up a bit the year later by putting these decorated trees out front that we had.
Okay.
But so
they're like, when does it start?
Yeah, exactly.
They just have those starting lights on.
They didn't turn anything on,
right?
Yeah.
So they're like trying to find the radio station that you're synced to.
Exactly.
Like, none of the lights are moving to this song.
That's hilarious. There are houses like that in Saskatoon.
It's kind of funny how much people like. It's just a normal thing now.
Oh, for sure.
It's like, well, yeah, they'll have their own radio broadcast and music will sync up. That's like years ago. You couldn't even imagine that.
No, it's not.
But it's like normal now.
Yeah,
lots of houses.
Now it happens. You just put your 3 favorite songs on and they repeat.
My house has it.
Does it?
No,
I didn't think so.
No.
I was trying to give you the benefit of the doubt, but I didn't think it actually happened.
We have a wreath on our front door. That's it. So
awesome.
Inside is decked out. Outside, not so much.
Okay. We got our lights up this year. We didn't put those trees up though, and we're still debating it. But like we're talking like what, like 7 days till Christmas here?
Yeah, dude.
So
it goes up now or it doesn't go up.
It goes up and it stays up till February. Kind of an idea, right? Yeah. Like it has to become like a winter thing.
And then
you
get a message from the HOA, and they're like, "You're in violation. You need to put these down."
We're convinced that we sort of half set the standard for when lights go on and when lights go off on the street.
Really?
Yeah. Because I noticed that once we put them on this year, all of a sudden everyone's were on. And I noticed that last year too. And then I noticed last year we kept the dream alive late. Like we were leaving them. We left them on till about February, and everyone did.
Yeah.
In our little court there, like the 4 or 5 of us.
Huh.
And then we flicked them off one night, and I looked outside, and everyone's were off.
Well, you know what?
So I wonder if like everyone just follows each other on this. Like you look around, they got theirs on, we're gonna keep ours on.
This is one of the great things about Christmas.
Yeah,
it's one of those things that makes you feel like your community matters.
Yes.
So it's like one of those events that when we all participate, like you see somebody else's lights and you're like, my lights, you know, and you're like, whoa, we should all, you know, and people appreciate it together, you know, you don't even have to speak to your neighbors. Yeah. And you probably should speak to your neighbors, but you don't need to have like a conversation to be like, what's the date we're setting? It's like one of you puts up your lights and everybody starts chipping in, you know, like it's beautiful.
I noticed it with trees this year. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
So lots of Christmas memories, lots of traditions. Let us know yours out there. We want to know what you do, what starts Christmas for you, what is something that has to happen for it to feel like Christmas. Everyone's got a unique take on this, so it's actually really interesting to hear where people are at with this. So
it is.
Why don't you let us know?
Please.
Fire us your thoughts. We'd love to hear what that is for you.
Please.
We're going to jump into what's happening in the neighborhood.
In the neighborhood.
So we've been talking about Advent.
Yep.
The themes of Advent: hope, peace, joy, and love.
What are those?
Hope, peace, joy, and love.
One more time.
Hope, peace, joy, and love.
Nice. I like it.
Hope, joy, peace, love.
Whoa, wait.
Hope, love, joy, peace.
Come on now.
Well, because me and you had this discussion. That's why I'm doing this. That everywhere you look on internet gives you something different, right?
So frustrating.
So there's no consistency in this.
So frustrating. Yeah. And people don't even use the same words. We've said this on the show before, so we don't need to get back into it.
No, we're not going to do it.
It's a whole thing.
We're not going to do it.
But we did Advent with hope, peace, joy, and love.
We did, yeah. Actually, in the last talk in the neighborhood's coming up this weekend.
Ooh.
Saturday at 6, Sunday at 11, and Sunday at 5 in the morning. So you check us out in our services this weekend where we're going to look at the theme of love.
Depending when you're listening to this, that's the 21st and 22nd of December.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So I'm not sending you some random place in the middle of Christmas where everything's canceled. Well, just not happening at the right times. But these are all things that we know. I think, these themes, I think about them and how they're beautiful. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of truth to them. This hope, this peace, this joy, this love. But I think at the Christmas time, the thing that I recognize more and more and more as I go through this is that they all live with intention too, right? Because these are things we know that are true because of the Christmas story, because of what Christ has done, because of what God has done for us. And yet sometimes during the Christmas season, you might feel a lack of one of these things, like just personally, right? You might feel like, everything's just so busy. I feel stressed. There's not a lot of peace in this moment, right? Or you just might not be feeling, the joy, like, or at least not the hallmark joy that the world pushes at us, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's tension between this. Can you relate with that?
Yeah, I think actually Ashley said something very interesting just before we started recording here, which is I think everybody who's spoken on these over the series at the neighborhood have emphasized that, like, with hope, there's the flip side of hopelessness. Yeah. And, like, the idea that, with peace, there's also a sense of, like, unrest or stress or fear, and I think that that's one of those things that it's why we do Advent, is not to erase these things and to say they don't it's not to be like there's only hope, there's only peace, there's only joy, there's only love, it's like that's fake, that's commercial, like that's consumer, like that's something else that's been fabricated over time to create like this idea of like as if there's like a perfect day of the year where there's no problems. But Advent is really like a discipline to acknowledge, like, why do we even talk about hope is because it's a given that we feel hopeless sometimes, that we need hope, that there's situations we're waiting for something to show up in, and same with peace. Exactly. And same with joy and same with love. Mm-hmm. So I really appreciate like the fact that we're actually going through this and taking the time. And these are the things that if you don't stop and say, let's talk about this, let's reflect on this, and let's also see how Jesus showed up to bring this stuff, then you miss it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And these truths are powerful for us because while they remain often in tension, right? And you see this all throughout the scripture, right? Like you see these little tensions, right? Like even from something as simple as like, we could refer to the Lord as the lion, but also the lamb, right? And and those seem like two different things, and yet they exist in tension, right? Yep. And sometimes, like you mentioned, like hope, beautiful thing, right? But the feeling of hopelessness sometimes people have felt as well, and there's a tension there that those things live in, and yet it's in the middle of that tension that we go back to the truth, what the scriptures tell us, what the story tells us, and sometimes it's just choosing to believe that, right? Even if you're not feeling it,
Yeah.
in the moment.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's faith, right? Like you trust that things are what they are, even though maybe they don't feel in that moment like they are.
Yeah.
So it's like that Charlie Brown episode. One of the Christmas movies we didn't really touch on a whole ton, right? But
It's a great movie though.
yeah, there's a line in there where he talks to Linus and says, it's Christmas time, but I really don't feel the way I'm supposed to feel. And just the idea that he says it like that denotes that, like, our society really thinks that there's only one way to feel at Christmas time.
Yeah.
And yet at Christmas time, you bring your whole self into the holidays, right?
Yeah.
Everything, whether it's the past, present, whether it's what's happening, what's not happening, all those things.
Yeah.
And so there could be a little bit of tension there, and yet you could still experience these things of Advent, this hope, this peace, this joy and love, even in the midst of that tension.
And that's why it's important for Christmas to have a spiritual anchoring, in my opinion, is because any holiday can set up expectations to be like, you can take a summer holiday and be like, I'm going to be so peaceful and stuff. And what ruins that is, like, there's a dilemma at work.
Yeah.
There's problem in the family. You're dealing with a loss. You're not feeling the way that you're hoping you feel when you're on holiday or vacation or whatever. But the significance of Advent is anchoring this time that we might take holidays around, and we might take a day off and stuff and enjoy that. But it's anchoring it to deeper things, spiritual realities, which is like, if you've ever had an off Christmas, like I've had Christmases where I'm like, this doesn't feel like Christmas, things aren't right, or I'm struggling with this, or we just lost this person, or whatever.
Yeah.
But like when you anchor that to something deeper, then it's just a holiday, and it's just a chance to have a day off, or for gifts, or to eat food. It's like there's something so much more substantial that you're actually tethering this connection to, which is like the unseen things, like
that's really well put.
The reality of, your eternal hope, and your hope in Christ, and things that are beyond the moment.
Absolutely. No, definitely like that. That's really good, Ethan. And like you said, the journey through this has been good. I think it's refreshing. I think it's something that I've taken more serious every year to an extent. Do you know what I mean? Like even that doesn't mean I'm spending more time at it. It just means that it hits a little bit more each time, right?
Totally.
Like as you get older, as you mature, and as you walk through it. So,
Yeah.
Sometimes some Christmases they feel like the funnest time, and other times, you could be in bed not feeling good, right? Like last Christmas, I remember it was just kind of like one of those kind of Christmases, right?
Yeah.
But yet these things remain. We can experience hope, we can experience peace, joy, and love because of what Christ did. And so it's been a great series. We're going to continue it this weekend, and I know that we're looking forward to hearing about that.
Yeah.
And we're also going to have Christmas Eve services like you talked about. So there's going to be a service, I believe, at 6:30.
Yep.
At the Pine House location in Saskatoon. So Christmas Eve, 6:30, 233 Pine House Drive. Check us out. If you're in Warman, you go to 208 Main Street, and they're having a service there from 6:30 to 7:30. Yeah, so that'll be good to come together and light the Christ candle and really just celebrate the season that is.
Such a great time to have service together on Christmas Eve. It's really a meaningful thing. So
absolutely, looking forward to it. So we're going to go into our last section. We're going to ask the question, how about you?
How about you?
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum. So how are you? How about you? So last week we had a comment come through here.
Ooh.
Now, I wasn't here because I wasn't feeling good, and you and producer Ashley did a splendid job talking about this, and we'll comment on it quickly. But a comment here that came through said, I haven't watched Red One, which is a movie, but I'll watch anything with Lucy Liu at least once. Huge fan.
I think it's Lucy Liu, isn't it?
Is it Lucy Liu?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm pronouncing it as I see it. So
yeah, but she is a
Lucy Liu.
actress.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
I like the huge fan, capital huge, the whole word capitalized.
This is
huge
not,
fan.
This is like denoting like this is the person kind of thing.
The
right?
person.
Yeah. I'm a big fan.
That's the goat to this commenter.
Absolutely. But Red One, we did watch a couple weeks ago. I know you and producer Ashley shared your opinion there last week. But
I've got more thoughts.
Myself,
after last week,
it was pretty good. I thought that if I had to give it a rating, I'd give it probably like a 6 out of 10 or something.
A 6.
Yeah, about that.
Didn't you say before we went? What was the number you said before we went?
I said 6.
Did you say 6
or 5? Somewhere in there. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some people I know liked it more. Like actually, my wife went and saw it yesterday with her work party, and she liked it more than I did. because I think she understood a little bit of what was happening. Maybe like I just don't watch a ton of action movies, so like to me, I'm not basing this on a whole lot. Like you watch tons of movies and you probably base it all. So
are you trying to judge me or are you trying to praise me here?
You a little bit of
watch
judging.
Tons of movies.
A little bit of judging. No.
No, you're right. I like movies a lot. And Ashley has put in the notes here. We've talked about this every week for 45 weeks. Not 45, 425.
Yeah.
And we were mentioning, me and Ashley last week when we were on together, that this has become like the movie of Christmas 2024 for Unedited.
It kind of has.
And it's not even something that we're super interested in.
It's some weird thing.
It's just become a conversation piece.
Yeah.
Something I want to say.
What's that?
We talked about last week the reasoning for why things stuck together. And I was saying that I said 5 out of 10 the week before we went to see it.
Okay.
Because I was saying there's probably going to be a few points added because of the experience. Just being with each other and
I would have
fun at a theater.
I would have said 6, I'm pretty sure. Then.
Right.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like it came out at a 5 out of 10 because of the experience. But in terms of movie, it's probably like a 3 or 4 out of 10.
Okay.
In my opinion.
All right.
So if you take out the experience, have you got a different rating, or is it 6 out of 10?
No, I'm going to give it 6 as a movie, and really? I did like the experience, although I didn't like that. Anyways, I didn't feel so good after. So
you
but
got sick.
It was all right though. But no, it was decent. Lucy Liu. So I don't even know who that is. So I'm gonna have to educate myself.
She was the one that was running the organization that like protects mythical people.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
The lady in the pantsuit.
Yeah.
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 I don't know if that's the right way to describe what she was wearing. I'm trying to think about what it was really.
Okay.
I think she wore a suit.
Yeah, something.
I think.
Okay.
Anyway.
I'll have to check into it. Funny enough, though, this movie came out on Amazon Prime already. Actually, a day after we went to it.
We were talking about that last week, too. So, you rented it?
So I haven't rented it, but I get it for free on Prime.
Okay.
So
I thought you said you were going to rent it.
No, I might peek at it again and just give it another watch one of these days when I do mindless movie watching in the afternoon. But
Jordan.
Thank you for your comment, and I hope you check it out and let us know what you think of it. Maybe you will like it, maybe you won't.
Jordan.
Well, we're gonna wrap up soon. Do you got anything left to say?
Yeah.
What do you got to say?
Happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We won't have an episode until the new year.
We won't. Nope. We're going to take a little break. So.
Yeah. Hang in tight, my friends, my viewers and listeners, watchers. Whatever you're doing over this Christmas, we hope that the themes of Advent find you, that you have hope, peace, joy, and love in your life, and we'll catch you with a fresh epi in the new year.
New epi's coming. Merry Christmas to you and yours. Have a good one.
Bye.
Unedited is a ministry expression of the Neighbourhood Church. Hosted by Ethan Andrews and Jordan McClellan. Produced by Ashley Drayton. Voiceover by me, M. Curry. Watch us on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook. Or listen on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Thanks for listening.